Seem to be up here. Yep. All right. All right. Wait a minute. Let me turn this off. Okay. Okay. Welcome, y'all. Welcome. 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 Today we have a very special guest, and LaShawn will be here in a minute. We have a very special guest, Miss Lorana Hughes, and talking about some good information today, or hopefully some good information for y'all. Lorana, would you please give the introduction to yourself, as deep and as intricate as you like?
Sure, Steve. Good morning. Thanks for having me here. I'm Lorana Hughes. I'm retired. Technically, I'm a retired farmer. I retired from South Carolina. I was born and raised and grew up in California. Spent a lot of time in the South before retiring about 3.5 years ago. And I landed in Cuenca, Ecuador, and decided to make it my new home. So I've been here about 3.5 years. Retirement for me is about time freedom and really time freedom to do the things I'm passionate about. So sometimes things look like work, but they're really passion projects. And I've enjoyed making Ecuador and specifically Cuenca home. So um, yeah, I'm retired. I'm a mom, grandmother, divorced. Um,
A little bit of
yeah,
everything.
that's Cuencana,
Yeah.
immigrant Cuencana, but Cuencana nonetheless.
So, just in case anyone is joining the stream and you don't happen to know who we are, or even if you do, a little reminder: me and Lashawn have been living here in Ecuador for now 4 years, 2.5 years on the coast in Salinas, and the last year and a half, or a little more than that, here in Cuenca. We love the country. We can't speak for everybody, obviously, but we love the country. We retired early, so yeah, we look a little young. And like I said, Lashawn will be here in a second. If we look a little bit young, hey, we came up with a plan and decided that let's give living outside the country a shot. Um, it can't hurt, honestly. It's just an experience. If for whatever reason everything falls apart and we got to go back, that's just what it is. We're still young enough to enjoy it, but we didn't want to be so old that we couldn't enjoy our own retirement. So we just decided to do it early. And we kind of had the same idea as Lorana. Let's hit up Ecuador and see how it works out for us. And so far, it's been working out for us. Can't complain at all.
We're kind of like the younger early retire like the early retiree. We're younger than a lot of the retirees typically in some of these communities, especially Cuenca. So I think that's kind of a new thing that's happening. When
Yeah.
did you guys retire? I was 49. What about you guys?
Oh man, so it was 4 years ago. In fact, my last day on the job was February 28th of 2022, and so I was 44. I'm not gonna say Lashawn's age. I'll let her say that when she comes on here, but she
Yeah,
probably won't.
I would just
But
mind your business. Yeah, like mid to late 40s or even early 50s
yeah,
is new in the expat, immigrant living trend. So I'm seeing a lot more of that though. People like ready to have freedom with their life. So yeah,
yeah,
Ecuador.
yeah, and I think especially since like because one of the subjects we're gonna be talking about is money, and when it comes to money, things in the U.S. And I'm not going to get like crazy political in this video or anything, but things in the U.S. are getting expensive, and there's other stuff going on, and people are looking for a alternative. And not to say that Ecuador is your only alternative. This just worked out for us, but there's plenty
Numbers
of places
work.
out there. There's a whole world, right? There's a whole world to see, y'all, and you really gotta give things a try. It doesn't matter what part of the world it is. For a lot of us, and specifically for a lot of Black people, we don't really get to see the world as much as we should, honestly. Um, so getting those experiences just it works out for us. We love to travel, and we like living here. This is our base. Once our permanent is completely done, this is our base, and we just go wherever we want from here. And we enjoy that. We enjoy that. We wouldn't be able to do that, if we were living in the states.
Yeah, this really hits on a lot of those sweet spots. The low cost of living, but the high quality of living that goes with that. Um,
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
avoid some of the things I wanted
exactly.
to avoid, like heat and humidity, but also cold and
Oh yeah,
ice. Like we're kind of in that
yeah, yeah.
middle sweet spot where it's good on
That
both
that sweet
ends, you
spot.
know. Hmm.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
affordable,
yeah.
affordable enough that you could retire in your 40s, which means you may not have a social security check or a pension or those kind of
Hmm.
things that you think of with older people that get to that 60, what is it, 67? Yeah,
Yeah, what at 60, what
I don't even
64 the
know.
earliest or 62? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
It's too
By the
far
time I'm
away.
that age, I
Like I
might not
want to
even
do
get
it
it. Who
now.
knows?
So like, how do we do
Right.
that now? Yeah, that's
Right.
real. That's real. Every day, that's real.
Yep. And just looking at some of the comments, hey, everybody that's joined, yes, you can, Thailand. Like I said, we're in Ecuador. Favorite couple, thank you. And do y'all need some black expat hairstyle? You mean hairstyles or hairstylists? Because I'm yes, hairstylist is something that we get asked about quite a bit. Um,
I
there
got a
is
man. I go to Guayaquil
okay,
and get my hair done.
right,
I want my locks restarted, and so you got to find
yeah,
people. Grapevine,
yeah.
grapevine. But I got a man in
Lashawn, you'll see
Guayaquil.
Lashawn, right? You'll see Lashawn pretty soon. She does her own, so that's not something that we actually personally deal with. Look at me, that's not an issue for me. Um, but yeah, hairstylist, I can definitely say that there is a need. We get asked about that quite a bit. Let's see. You said my grandma was 50 and you thought that was young. Yeah. I want to go to Cuenca. Have medical needs, so might need a travel buddy. Uh, don't want to ride Dolo. Wanted to ride Dolo. Yeah. So it is good to have a travel buddy. If you're a couple, it's always great to have a partner. And what I'm going to do here is switch places with LaShawn. 1 second, and then we can get started. You take this.
Good morning, neighbor.
Do I need a headphone?
Oh, right there. She's got to grab her headphone. 1 second.
Which way it goes? This
Just
is
to
left.
your left,
Upside down.
like that. Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, neighbor.
Well,
How
I'm
are
still
you this
here.
morning?
I'm trying. I'm making it.
Okay, so where we were just introducing ourselves to anyone who doesn't know us and talking about. I was answering some of the comments and just talking about retiring early and stuff like that. So
Okay.
I haven't started on the
The questions.
yet. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Steve.
Here,
What am I doing?
click right here.
Okay, sorry, y'all. I'm trying to get
Just
adjusted.
click there.
Right here.
Yep.
Okay.
And your subjects are right here.
Okay. So
You can keep this up if you want.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So thank you, Lorana, for joining me this morning. I had an unexpected situation.
Life.
What I wanted to talk about, because we've gotten questions about moving abroad as a single person and as a couple. So what I wanted to do was ask you some of the questions that has been sent to us, but also ask you the pros and cons of moving abroad as a single person.
Cool.
Okay, so when you decided to move abroad, did you have any fear of moving abroad alone?
Yeah, like let's be real. You talking about going to a new country? You talking about a language that you don't speak? I had 2 years
Mm-hmm.
of high school Spanish 40 some years ago. Um, I could say just enough to probably get into a fight, but like fluency, and I had in my mind
Right.
like you got to be fluent, and so I was really hard on myself about fluency. I remember some of my early trips, exploration trips of like, if that internet wasn't working and my Google Voice wasn't, like, I was tethered to that phone. And
Right.
just we talked briefly, like, I was 49 years old. Like, I don't have a Social Security check. I've been self-employed most of my life. So my 401k, and like all of that stuff is, can you really do this thing? And it really came down to, I'm gonna do it scared. I'm gonna do it with some of those
Right.
fears. I'm gonna do it with some of the newly found insecurities that happen kind of when you're in motion. And I really consciously, like, I had a conversation with myself for real and said, what's the worst that could happen? You know how to go do
Mm-hmm.
American Life. You know how to do
Mm-hmm.
that. So the worst thing that would
Right.
happen is you run out of money. You got to go back to the hustle and grind of it. You got to go back to the United States. If you can't figure it out. And I said, I'm reasonably intelligent. I'll try to figure it out, because what drove me to early retirement was freedom. I wanted to own all of my
Okay.
time.
Right.
How can I own my time 24 hours, 7 days a week? What do I need to do and where do I need to be to make that happen? And so I came with those fears, not knowing if I really could do it for the rest of my life. Could I be retired for the rest of my life on what I already have in my resource pool? And I'm going where I don't know nobody. There's nobody in my
Right.
family that has lived
Yeah.
as an immigrant. My dad was thinking about it when he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. He was thinking about, and he said, because my retirement, then pension checks go a whole lot further when I leave the country. So he
Mm-hmm.
planted some seeds, but there's no one that I knew. Didn't nobody know what an apostle? The apostle was? What's that
Right.
apostle thing we got to get? Didn't nobody understand what an apostille? It took me time to understand. Okay, tell me what I'm doing. No, wait, don't just tell me what I need. Tell me what I'm doing so I understand. So, like, all of this, it was new language. It was
Mm-hmm.
new environments. It was going to places that people didn't necessarily look like me. They was
Right.
brown and beige people, but they weren't my kind of brown beige. Cultures are
Mm-hmm.
different. So there were fear. Like, this was not a go without fear. This was, I acknowledged the fears, and the benefits for me were greater than the fears. So I went with
Okay.
those fears, carry on with me, So it was scary.
Right.
It was scary. It was jumping off a cliff with a blindfold on into darkness of things you just don't know. You don't know if you can do this
Right.
thing. You don't know what it'll take. It ended up, sometimes things are better than you expect. And so for me,
Mm-hmm.
that's been the experience, that it was worth it. And the worst case was it don't work and I have to go back to the United States. I already know how to do that. I've
Right.
done 50, almost 50 years at that point of doing American living. If I had to, how it is, you
Right.
do what you got to do and you
Exactly.
keep it moving. So yeah, I came with the fears and the insecurities that were triggered in making this kind of move.
Yeah. So when we decided to live abroad, it was already in my mind. I wanted to move out the U.S. I had never lived outside the U.S. My first international trip was 2016.
Was
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
2016, and we went to Dubai. And that trip to Dubai, I don't know, it put something in me that said, I want to leave the US. I want to try something different. And so when Steve brought the idea to move abroad, I was all for it. You know, yes, I was scared. I was more, I don't want to say I was hesitant, but I was straddling the fence because I didn't want to leave my family, but I also didn't want to continue living the way I was living, stress, anxiety, depressed, all those things. And so when we moved abroad, I just felt a sense of relief, like a weight was lifted off of me. And so, moving abroad with someone is easier than moving abroad by yourself. So,
Maybe,
I
maybe.
maybe well, I applaud you because I don't think I would have the strength and the courage to do it by myself. I
But let's
probably
talk about
would if I
differences.
felt okay.
As a single woman, children are adults and responsible for their own lives. My grandchildren have responsible parents who are responsible for them. I'm grandma. I didn't have to ask nobody. I didn't have to consult with nobody. I could do what I was going to do, and it didn't have an impact on anyone else. So I think in that sense, I may have had an easier time with making a decision as long as I could commit to, whatever you own the consequences of this choice. Okay, I'll take it. Like I could go without having to think about anyone else. Like I'm in that chapter of life where what anybody else needs or wants isn't my responsibility. Like literally, there's no one that I have to be responsible for. So I didn't have to have any kind of conversation. Should we do this? I could just decide. And that let
Right.
me maybe move differently than if I had been partnered with someone where it's like considering, your needs, your life, your vision for how you want your life to be. So I may have had it easier in that regard. Where it wasn't
Okay.
easier is you by yourself. You got to have your
Yeah.
own back. You got to, be aware of everything else going on you. And so it doesn't give you that thing that partnership, companionship gives you. But I didn't have to ask nobody. It was just, if I decide to
That's
do it,
true.
did you decide to do it and can you afford it? And you just go. And so I think as
Right.
single people, especially when you're empty nesting, children are kind of in their own lives, and you've determined that you're not going to be responsible for their lives in those ways anymore. Like I had real freedom to say, I can go, I sat down and said, I could be anywhere in the world, literally, that my money can take me. I can go anywhere. So where I need to be for life to feel good, like I didn't have to check with Steve to say, hey, could, might you
Right.
two want to be there? So I think in that regard, I did have some greater freedom, maybe, of being able to
Hmm.
just do as I
Yeah,
want to without having to stop and have those conversations. But it did
that is
leave
true.
me solo, where I understood the consequences of that, or the cost of that rather. What does that
Right.
mean? It means you got nobody that's got your back. So you have to move. Consider that in how
Differently.
you move. Mhm.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And we talk about, us being a couple. If the thing is, you have to like your partner, not just love your partner. You have to like your partner because when you moving abroad, it's just you two all the time. And I do like him and he likes me.
Most of the
So
time.
you ain't gotta yell, they can hear you. So it's like if one person is hesitant about moving, it's probably best not to move yet until you're both on the same playing field, same level. Because if one is like, I don't know, it's gonna be some, what would you call it? Some disagreements,
Yeah.
because it's gonna eventually come out that I didn't want to do this anyway. I only did it for you.
Right. You
And
didn't
I'm not
tag
trying,
me. Yeah. No, we don't hear all that.
right? I'm not trying to move someplace just because someone else wants to. We both got to agree, be in agreement. And so that's that. I mean, the pro is we were both in agreement. And the con is if you're not in agreement, you shouldn't do it.
And if you're carrying, even as a single person, if you're carrying a whole bunch of fears and insecurities, moving triggers that. If
Hmm.
life is normal for you, you're going to be moving in ways that are going to bring up insecurities. You're not going to know the culture. You're going to be concerned about being taken advantage. The gringo tax is real. Like prejudice expresses itself in different ways, and sometimes economically to foreigners from America, especially. Um,
Hmm.
if you haven't dealt with those things in life, fears and insecurities, then moving may stir those things up. And as a single
Yeah.
person, you don't have that partnership courage, that sometimes
Yeah.
you can do scary things if there's two people doing it together that you might not be able to push through on your own. So I think that, like, for single people, I think that may be more pronounced, that if you aren't dealing with your fears and insecurities in life anyway, or the guilt trips, because that's one of the things that comes up a lot, the guilt of leaving people behind. um, I liken it to survivor's remorse. you know you're leaving people behind that are in bondage.
Yeah.
And So sometimes that part of it, I think if you haven't dealt with that, then it's understanding just honestly that moving doesn't solve all of your stuff, and the incapacity, the lack of capacity to deal with those things maybe an issue that needs to be considered when you leave that environment, because there's going to be some new triggers, there's going to be some new things that come up for you. So I think that like that might be more pronounced in single people, because you don't have that built-in social circle of your person, the person that you hopefully like and like to spend time
Right.
with.
Right.
That those insecurities become more pronounced in new communities where making new relationships and friendship circles, social circles, um,
Hmm.
is the lifeline, of thriving
Yeah.
outside in these international streets.
And that's what I was going to lead into about community, because let's just say, like I said, if I didn't have Steve moving abroad, dealing with anxiety, depression, just feeling alone, I feel like after the honeymoon stage of being somewhere, your first year is the honeymoon stage. And then you get into reality the second, third, and fourth year. And I'm not saying you, but say for someone who have mental illness, that those walls may seem to start to close in on a person. And if they don't have community, how do they get out of that feeling? Because if I felt like the walls was closing on in on me, then I may want to go back to the US because I have a lifeline over there,
Mhm.
or I have support there. Whereas if I don't have community where I am abroad, it can feel like there's no one there for me.
I see that challenge a lot. As a single person, I think this is one of those things that's even more pronounced. I make a distinction between neighbors and my community. There's a lot of people that are my neighbors, but there's some people that are my community. We share values on how we do life. We share values on things like being people that are giving and generous and not just takers. Um,
Right.
Community is really important, and I'm a broken record on heal first, and
Mm-hmm.
if getting free is what you do first, but like as soon as you get out of where the stress levels are so high, like healing, because those unresolved issues that you may have been able to suppress because you're in survival mode or the busyness of life, um,
Mm-hmm.
when you end up freeing up some of those burdens and time, those things show up. And if you one haven't dealt with those things, that's the internal stuff, then moving sometimes creates the time for those things to come up. And what you do
Yeah.
with that is either you medicate it and you have more disposable income sometimes to do that, more time to do that, or you heal. So that's my first thing is I'd be remiss to say heal first, heal first.
Mm-hmm.
But oftentimes it's doing a real honest assessment, getting honest with yourself. Were you building healthy, supportive communities where you were? If you
Yeah.
were, then you probably already have that social capacity to do that in new places. Yes, it may be slower. Your language may be part of the things that keep you in some of that disconnect. But finding people who share the important things in your life, and sometimes the important things are what you want to do. Play. I find play
Mm-hmm.
partners. I got a Frisbee Friday crew. I got my theater crew. I got the artist crew. I got the people who like food crew. I like people who like to go to the Mercado crew. I have people that the parts of our lives that overlap are parts that are important to me, and we just figure out how to do that overlapping of our lives. Um, Community is really important because oftentimes we move to places where we don't know anyone, or
Right.
we make relationships with people who are our, I call it adult imaginary friends, our internet friends. They are friends and they're meaningful, but we don't know them people. Like in real
Right.
life.
That's true.
Have you been to their
Yeah.
house? Have they been to yours? And part of community in many of these places is going into cultural spaces where connection is very different than the United States and how we do
Mm-hmm.
community. where
Mhm.
you're expected to be physically intrusive. You hug everybody when you get there and when you leave, every
Yeah.
single person. But there's 30 people at your party, Lorana. Yeah. And in Ecuador, they greet every single person.
Re-
You have hugged and
exactly.
kissed everybody, and you do the same thing when you get ready to leave. So it's being honest about, do you have the skills? Do you just want
Mhm.
community to be there for you? Or do you have the
Exactly.
skills where you can be a part of community? Because in some expat circles, we go because we're going to take. We're going to take the
Mhm.
economic benefits, and we want there to be ready-made community that we just ease into and we get all the benefits of that. And we don't necessarily have the skills to do that. Do you have the capacity to ask for what you need? Black women, single Black women, hyper independence kind of stuff that we learned out of necessity, out of safety. Are you okay with going and saying, I'm ignorant? I don't know how to use these words. I got 5 of them and I'm gonna use these 5, but I need your help to tell me what this
Right.
is, to tell me how much centavos I need as I'm trying to figure out them numbers. Did she say 50 cents? Did she say 25 cents? I can't quite, there was a cinco in there
Exactly.
somewhere. Like, do you have the capacity to be okay with being teachable?
Right.
Like all of those become like that personal thing of being honest with yourself. If you look around your life and look at what your community looks like, are they people that just are kind of shallow, but when you have real needs, they don't show up for you? Or are these people that you can call at 10 o'clock at night and say, I got a need, I need a doctor? You got somebody that you trust that can come and deal with whoever's here with some illness or, those kind of real needs. Or I'm injured and I need somebody to bring me some groceries. Or do you have people in your life regularly that do that? Because sometimes I live in the suburbs. Getting my groceries delivered is not so easy out here in the suburbs. Like you can't pay for everything here. I need somebody, I just got enough money I
Exactly.
can just pay for it. Think you can? Try getting somebody to come do something this weekend. They partying. Or you'd have to communicate with someone. And if your circle of people here are very closed in and siloed in, maybe they're just all Black, maybe they're just all American, maybe you don't have the resources that you need to do life how you need to. Can you call
Mhm.
on your neighborhood group chat people to help you find a plumber because
Deliver.
you got water going somewhere, or a doctor,
Exactly.
or whatever. So I think part of that is really being honest with yourself, and maybe that transfers to single and partners. But as a single person, you got you, and you
Yeah.
build your entire community of people, your family, my Quincana family. I tell them that, and I mean that. Y'all my family. Because my family can't come get to me in some kind of crisis takes place. My kids all over the United States. It take
Mhm.
25 hours to get here if they were on the plane.
Right.
So these are people that being able to check, because you don't have that partner that's in your house, that if you go down, somebody can come get you. If you go down out here as a single person, you better have people that come to your rescue that you can call on, that
Mhm.
know you in real personal ways. Do they know? Are you willing to let them know where your keys are? Can you send them money so they can send you money somewhere else? Do you trust people like that? Because those are real
Right.
issues that come into it, trying to get your money moved, or you got that one thing in the United States you need to pay, and you done cut down your stuff too much and you can't get your money back to the United States to pay that bill that you need to pay. Like all of that is real. Do you trust that person? So if you send it to them, they can convert it to Bitcoin and then move it to their US account and pay your thing for you, or send it to your children so they can pay. Like those are real life issues that come up.
Mhm.
Do you have people that support you like community, not just neighbors? Neighbors show up and you guys go
Right.
meet for lunch, and then you don't know nothing about those people and who their children are or how to reach out to somebody in an emergency. And we have people that come and pass away and don't nobody know them. They don't know who their people are. They don't know how to, like, and so having honest conversations with your social capacity, if you aren't building healthy relationships where you are, it don't happen by magic just because you get out here in these international streets. So, and you don't
That's
have
true.
someone with you sometimes as a partner, a co-living, a co-traveling buddy, or a family, folks, friends, whatever. And so as a single person, you have to create that for yourself, or you don't have it. It don't happen by magic.
Right.
I just want to mention something about what she was saying, like emergency. How the flip side of that is, like, as a couple, how if you got a good partner, like when I broke my ankle here at the house. If I was by myself, like I don't know what I would have did. I mean, I would have figured it out. I would have
Yeah,
figured it
you would have
out.
figured it out, but
But like having that other person to back you up, like that was just
the other person who be doing research all the time, looking at everybody, look at on everything, trying to figure out like what if something happened, who can I reach out to? Because I definitely was reaching out to translators and see if they can meet us at the hospital. And the woman didn't know me at all, but she was there to help. And I don't think I would have been able, we wouldn't have had that help like that in the States. What I'm saying, if I was new to the US and I was coming from another country, I don't think I would have been able to get that type of help the way I got it here, where a translator actually met us at the emergency room, already spoke to the doctor, told them what was happening, who was coming, and all of that. And I've never experienced that type of hospitality in the US like I've experienced here. And people who are willing to help you when your broken Spanglish is terrible. Your broken Spanish is horrible. And you're trying to tell the pharmacist what you need, and they just walk up and say, I can help you in English. What do you need? And then you show them the prescription. I need this and yada yada, whatever. And okay, she wants to know, are you paying with cash or are you paying with the card? Very helpful. And I love that. And we talk about being introverted. I'm introverted. I don't know, Steve. You're extroverted?
I'm somewhere in the middle. I can be by myself for days, or I can be out with people. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle.
I could be inside for the rest of my life. But I know that I need to interact with people. So I push myself, and I'm more open to meet people since I've been in Ecuador than when I was in the US. I would go to work and back home, and it was just my family. It wasn't me hanging out, doing stuff, meeting strangers, and meeting people on the street, sitting down, having coffee. I never did that in the US. Here, my kids are like, you're the happiest I've ever seen you. It's just a
We have
different
real life
vibe.
examples too. You and I have real life examples. Let's talk about last year this time. Um, my passion projects, Gangsta Grannies was here, and um, Wendy got sick, and I said, let's reach out to LaShawn and get her doctor information because I've used her doctor for other visitors. Come got altitude issues, come got issues, and I can't find it right now because I can't remember his name off the top of my head. And they've had good results as English speakers, being able to communicate effectively. And I reached out to that doctor, and the doctor messaged me and said it's the middle of the morning and I'm in Europe at a conference. I can get to you when I get back. No, we need somebody today. And that was kind of one of those moments where I had reached out to that, my American, my sister girl, we brown, my people. But that resource wasn't available. And what I did was I said, Dr. Remigio live in my neighborhood. I don't even know what kind of doctor Dr. Remigio is, but he a retired man. He my friend because we co-instigate together. He's in my neighborhood. He's in the professional class. He's Ecuadorian. And he said, Dr. Fritzo, Dr. Fritzo, will come see you. He said, never mind. I'll bring him, since I know where you are, I'll bring him to your house. And Dr. Fritz going to bring his wife, because she got a little bit of English, and brought him to my house to tend to my guests. I have lots of visitors that come, tend to my guest. His wife could help us with the communication thing, but it wasn't just that. He then took those prescriptions that he was writing, said, get in the car so you can go get this medicine for her. I'm going to give her these injections. Went with me, drove me to the pharmacy to make sure that the pharmacist gave me what he deemed necessary for her and what she had decided to do as far as a treatment plan. Brought us back, gave her the injections, but also said, and here's my WhatsApp, I expect to hear from somebody, probably not you, but somebody to give the update in the morning, because I will be calling. I'll be calling in the morning. I'll be calling in the afternoon. I'll be checking it out. And if I need to come back, I'll come back. Like, part of that is Having the resource with you, great. That worked in some situations, but that wasn't enough in this situation. If I hadn't had relationships with some of my
Mm-hmm.
locals to
Yeah.
know this is somebody you trust, this is your friend. And now
Right.
he's become a friend because I had another set of visitors, the second set of gangster greenies, and we had to go see Dr. Fritz. I told her not to do too much walking, and she did. Now her blood pressure a little high, and she's concerned and just needs a little extra. Do you want to come to my office? I'm at my office right now. You want to come right now? I can come to the house this evening. No, we'll come on. We got time. And so even that relationship with you and I was good.
Mm-hmm.
But if I hadn't had some Ecuadorian relationships in my community, people that I can
Right.
call on that'll come to my house on a rainy night at 8 o'clock at night, and then take me to the pharmacy because it's raining and I ain't got no car. Like
Mm-hmm.
that kind of care is about those relationships. And so I
It
think
is.
both the expat relationships in those expat circles is important because you talk amongst yourself in the many circles that we share information quite freely oftentimes in the greater expat community. But also it's the circles that loop you into those locals because you
Mm-hmm.
need that sometimes. We don't know enough. Like you don't know what you don't know. We don't know enough
Exactly.
sometimes about these communities and we need help. And so I think
Yeah.
that that is one of those real life examples that you and I have had of sharing information. I don't see you every day. We don't talk every day, but I know where you live. If I need to come to your house, I know where you live. If you need something, I
Right.
know I can get it to you. I can bring it,
Right.
or I can send my people and they'll know
Systems.
where you are. Like
Right.
that's a piece of what we're talking about. Like, and that's whether you're single or not, like you need
Mm-hmm.
information and
You
having those
do.
relationships has been so valuable. Yours, people that I know are resourceful, that I trust their resourcefulness, because that's another thing. You always give bad recommendations, like you don't know what you're talking about. I can't take help from you. So, like competent friends, like that's real competent friends. So, thank you for
Yeah.
being part of my competent friends who, gather
Same
information.
here.
Mhm.
I mean,
That's
you
real.
were definitely a resource for us when we moved to Cuenca. Um, and I mean, I know people in different parts of Ecuador, but it's definitely helpful to know someone, like you said, who's competent enough to give you accurate and valuable information when you arrive. So you're not just out here just roaming the streets and looking lost. Um, but when you were talking about transportation, not having transportation. Is that a choice? I know for us it is. We have teetered back and forth whether or not we want a car or not. I really don't want one. But the incident that happened with Steve, it would have been helpful to get him where we needed to get him. But I just don't want to deal with that. I just don't want to deal with getting a license, doing maintenance, get into an accident, and I can't speak enough. I'm not fluent in Spanish to tell the officer what happened. So
He's going to realize you're a gringo, and then maybe the other person realizes you're a gringo, and then
they over here talking,
right, and we don't know what's going on,
and then the next thing you know, I'm in handcuffs,
or paying something that wasn't your fault,
right? So I don't mind riding the bus, taking a train, 30 cent, 35 cent. That's just chump change. I can pull that out my pocket, put it on card anytime.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I was like, I don't want to drive here. The lines in the road are very mild suggestions. And I mean that literally. They mean nothing. The road is for us to get
Nothing.
around. And if that means I'm on the left side going this way, that's just what we do. And they make it work because culturally they work with it with the diversity really well here in so many areas of life, including driving. One of the community finds for me is one of the car services in my neighborhood. They're people, I know them by name. I take them goodies because I know my visitors be special needs oftentimes, like they're my people. If I'm somewhere and need to be picked up, I can say, come get me. And if that driver can't find me, they will say, take a picture of where it looked like where you at. Take a picture of where you are in relationship to where we think you should be. And they will find
Right.
me. They will tell me, we can't find your people. We know this is one of your people. tell them to send you a picture and send it to us so our driver knows who he's looking for. Like those are parts of the relationships. It's just I call them pirate taxi. They're the non-yellow taxi car service, radio taxi that dispatches from the end of my street. They're in my neighborhood. And that gives me the ability to go pretty much anywhere I want to go. Between the buses, which are very extensive here, and they got the app that tells you where, so I feel very free to just go, to the buses, the inter-country bus systems that are very integrated and easy to maneuver, if you get over the fear part of it. And so having a car service that lets me move freely is an affordable solution here, much cheaper
Right.
than the energy of figuring out the driving, wondering if I have enough fluency yet that my brain won't nut up if there was some crisis, taking the advisement from others, like you may go to jail till they resolve liability issues. And who got more money sometimes wins in the liability. And you're like, do you want to spend your energy trying to do? Nope, I don't want to spend my energy doing that. Not when I can take the bus for 30 cents or the tram via for 35, or the most expensive taxi ride to the way other side of town. Like big town is $8. Like, I don't want to. So for me, it's a
Right.
very affordable, transportation is very affordable enough that I can reasonably say, I ain't driving, I have a driver, an army of drivers that'll come get me and get me to where I need to be. And because it's so
Right.
affordable, that's a realistic option that I can make. I take the bus. It's been a really good immersion. But I take the cars whenever I don't want to take the bus. So it's, just being honest with myself. Do you want to put the energy into taking the bus today? Nope. I want them to pick me up at my curb, and I want to go fast. That was this morning. I want to go fast to the market so I can get on back home because I got stuff to do. And I can't be lollygagging all day. Plus I'm tired from carnival. So like, yeah,
Oh,
it's an affordable solution here. Transportation's very easy. And I can do it,
yeah.
on a very conservative life budget. To not drive. There's just too many things that I just didn't want to have to figure out. The license and liability stuff. Yeah, no, I'm not driving here. No.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I just want to be driven. I just want to sit back and relax. You know,
Yeah.
we take the bus a lot. And I feel like there's no place I can't go without getting by bus. Because you can get to a lot of places by bus
Everywhere. Everywhere. It's amazing.
everywhere. And you know, we walk more now. I get my steps in. I get at least 8,000 steps in when we're
When you leave the
out.
house.
If you
When we're
leave the
out.
house,
Yeah. And so even though there's a park over here, we'll walk on the trail every now and then. I feel like we're out more exploring and getting exercise more so than when we were in the US, because in the US we had to drive everywhere. Everywhere. It was never a thought of let's just walk to the corner store. No. Here, I'm like, I'm going to the store, I'll be back.
that's the
I'm
norm.
going over here. Yeah.
Even in
It's
town, like if
so
I go in
refreshing.
town, it's not uncommon to say, "Hey, I'm in town. It's only 10 minutes to the Mercado. I might as well, skip or the spice
Right.
store. That'd be my thing. The spice shop. I'm close enough. Like 20, 50, even 30 minutes. Like it's
We just
like
walking.
that's just kind of the
Walking.
norm.
Right.
hmm
And because
hmm
you see so many people walking, it's the norm. It's like, and then the part I love the most is seeing people at the parks just sitting, reading,
We're using the free
relaxing.
exercise equipment and walking trails.
Yes,
Using the free
yes.
fitness equipment. Yeah, yeah. It's an
Hanging
active
out by the
community.
river,
Yeah.
families, friends. And I was like, this is what we used to have. Go have picnics at the park. None of that happens. I mean, it may in some areas, but it's actually very normal here.
Yeah.
And I love
And
it.
then I see somebody talking about like having car services. The other part of that is one, it's affordable. If you don't want to take the bus, you don't
Hmm.
have to. You know, I'm on the edge of town, so it costs me a little more to go into town, but like $5 is what it cost me to go into town. I could take the bus and it cost me 30 cents. But $5 is not that extreme. And then even with health, like we have people, it's affordable enough that you can hire assistants. If you
Right.
need a car to take you and go to 3 or 4 different spots for $8 an hour, I can have somebody follow me around. But I could also hire someone that can translate for me at the places I need to go, whether it be healthcare, whether it be the bank or handling your finances or business or insurance. People that facilitate things, medical. A lot of times people don't have the language. So being able to hire someone to facilitate like your medical and things like that. Care, providing care for you in all kind of ways. It's not just housekeeping, it's being able to afford care when you need support in life. And I think the car service is one of those examples for me of what being able to afford care looks like. I don't want to take the bus every day. Just don't want to.
And s-
And so I can
and
have that
so
level of care. Do you want me to stay with you while you run get your groceries at the market? Do you want me to come back and get you later? Like that's part of some of the benefits of moving, that care is really available for the things that you may need assistance with or you simply don't want to do. So that's driving fits
it's
into that category for me.
and so Lorana lives not too far from us, so she has a different car service. We have taxis. We have the Azu taxi.
Well, that's the app, but yeah,
Yeah, we have more taxis over here than the area she's in. Um, it's it varies.
yeah. It still ain't always easy to get a taxi.
No, not for us. We have to go to the main road sometimes to catch a taxi, and a lot of times they're passing. We were like,
Yeah, they already got somebody, or they're on the way to pick up somebody.
yeah, and
Because of where we are.
it can be a little difficult, and the price varies. Like if we go to Super Maxi over near Miraflores, some days it's $2, some days it's $4. It just depends. I mean, especially if it's traffic. You do not want to go to the grocery store around 5 o'clock in the evening. It's so much traffic.
Sundays and Wednesdays are like, well, when any weekday during like rush hour, whether it be when the kids are getting out of school or when people are getting off work, like it's just going to be hectic. And most taxis will try to avoid
Mhm.
the busy parts of town. So
So
a
it takes
a
you out
ride
further.
will cost you a little more, but it's usually worth it because then you're not sitting in a taxi for like an hour to get somewhere that's only 15 minutes away. But like Sunday, the roads are empty. But then a lot of businesses are closed on Sunday.
Yeah. And here, a lot of business open up after 5. You'll be walking during the daytime around 12 or 1 o'clock, and these businesses are closed. And then one day
Siesta.
you'll be out,
Yeah.
right? You're out at 5:30, 6 o'clock. You got all these stores open that you didn't even notice before. Like, I didn't know that was there. And they shop it in the evening. They do a lot of activities in the evening time because most of them work from 9 to 5, whether they're selling vegetables, selling donuts from a cart, selling amawesos,
Yeah, or if they're just just professionals who just work during the day,
that too.
and they do a lot of stuff in the evening. If you go to restaurants, they're usually packed like after 8. If you get there right when they open, there's usually no one there. After
Yes.
8 o'clock, they're packed.
Steve and I eat around 5:30, 6 o'clock. And we're usually the only ones in the restaurant. By the time we're leaving, more people are starting to show up. I cannot eat that late. I just can't eat that late.
Yeah. We have to know the rhythms. We have places in the neighborhood like the barbecue spot, like they open when the sun goes down. Now they'll be getting ready, close to that, but like yeah, and also don't go early in the morning. Don't think you're going to
No,
corral before 9 o'clock, and the other shops
no.
before 10 o'clock, like they're not moving at that pace, which is part of what I enjoy. But like learning those rhythms is real important too. You'll be
Yeah.
disappointed
Now
to
you
be out in
want,
the middle of the day. They mean siesta. They having a full meal. They
yes,
going tend to
yeah.
life. Come back at 2:30. Yeah.
They eat, they lay down wherever, take a nap, because a lot of them in the parks taking a nap. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, that just looks so
yeah, we see
nice.
that. We'll go to like
Full body
parking.
nap. Just they taking
Yeah,
a good nap. Like the whole body
park.
be stretched out.
Yeah,
They got the
Right.
pillow.
yeah, especially
Yeah.
at Parque La Madre and Parque Paricio.
Oh yeah.
If you go there around lunchtime, you just see people with a hat over their face, laying on the grass, and head on the backpack, and just taking a nap.
Out. Steve saw a guy laying in a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, he was a construction worker, and it was break time, and he was in the wheelbarrow sleep. Like, hey, that dude's tired.
That's that quality of life stuff. It's a different pace, and understanding that's an important piece too, for sure.
Talk about the weather.
No, get to the language first.
Okay.
So, we talked about language. I don't feel like you should allow language to hold you back from moving abroad. I did not speak a lick of Spanish. I just knew the basic, very, very basic. But, since we've been here, we have improved. We're not fluent. And like you said, when you're faced with someone and they're speaking very fast, my brain freezes up and I'm like, okay, Google Translate, help me. But it doesn't stop me from moving about within the country or moving about within the city. Because when he did break his foot, I had to move about by myself. I had to go to the hospital and use my broken Spanish to get some paperwork that he needed. But I was able to do it. I didn't feel I wasn't scared. I just knew I had to put more effort into getting what I need. And I was able to do it. But sometimes we can get in our own way, get into our own heads, and stop ourselves from living life the way we should live life, and not have fear just stand in the way and block us from our blessings or block us from exploring and adventuring out. So I feel like the con is don't let fear stop you from living life. The pros for me is just do it. And you'll see it's not as hard as.
Yeah, I echo that. I started with that, I got to be fluent. And it was causing stress for me because I wasn't. It was raggedy. And I started changing really what I meant. And it was, I want to be an effective communicator. And I changed that. I'm not fluent. I tell people I have functional Spanish if they talk slow. I tell them to talk to me like I'm 4 years old because I got words for a 4-year-old conversation. I tell them to slow down or my brain will understand nothing. You talk fast, my brain understands nothing. Slow down if you want me to understand. Do you want me to understand? And part of what I realized was effective communication is making sure that whatever it is I need to communicate is communicated. If I need to point, you ask you what that word is so I can finish this sentence. If I need to use my phone, because some days my brain is just tired. It's not translating anything. Nothing's translating. Talk to my phone. It understands a lot of Spanish. Talk to that. And I realized that being fluent would be nice. It would save time and energy, but I need to be an effective communicator. And when I shifted that in myself, one, I could be kinder to myself. And two, I realized, well, you're doing it already. Great. I'm doing it. Are you able to do life in the ways you want to? Yep. Everything I want to do, I can do. And sometimes it's because I got my translator. So I figured out how to have cell service when I'm outside of my home. Sometimes it's because I've learned the words that I need for my regular parts of life. Sometimes I point and we kind of do that grunt, we got enough. Okay, we good and move on. And so that's my standard now. Are you an effective communicator? I keep saying I'm gonna take some classes, but they want me to commit to like several days and putting on my outside clothes, and they want me to go somewhere and do that. And I feel like I need a book or something. Like I need some. I don't know what I need, but I haven't committed yet. And so in 3 years, I have very functional Spanish for doing my life. But I am an effective communicator because I don't miss nothing I want to do. And messages I want to communicate, we keep at it till we understand, or at least understand enough. And so that standard for me changed from I need to be fluent to I just need to make sure that wherever I am, I'm communicating effectively with the people around me
Right.
and use all the resources I have. I've used people shopping next to me. Is this like honey from the bees? Like, is this what this is? And everybody around me got to help me. Or at the bank, where one time it was so emotional because that's scary. My money, that's my freedom pass.
Mhm.
And I had 7 people in the bank, strangers, trying to help me get done what I need to do. That's called effective communication. They helped you get enough of the pieces that you needed to be able to handle what you needed. So that fluency piece has really changed for me. I am going to take
Mhm.
some classes at some point, but in 3.5 years, I got a really functional Spanish. Things I can
Yeah.
speak directly. I surprised myself. Like, girl, you had a whole conversation with that person. You know they were. I don't know. Just I got them. They're just there, and you just realize that those are false be- expectations that I was holding on myself, and it was traumatizing me. Every time I got
Mhm.
out there, the fear, the anxieties tied to it, and I was just like, admit to what it is. It's raggedy. It's raggedy. You already know it's raggedy. Tell them. Talk slow because I got raggedy Spanish, and that has been respected and
Right.
appreciated. Like you're trying to communicate on my level. I use my Google Translate. I try to communicate with people in Spanish because I feel like I should do the work, not you. I come
Mhm.
to a Spanish speaking country. I'm grateful when you do the work for me, but I should be the one putting in the extra energy to communicate with you. So that's just kind of a personal shift that
Yeah.
happened in me that stopped traumatizing me. And my raggedy Spanish is quite functional in this community. So it's amazing that once you get over the head trips, just going
Yeah.
out there with your raggedy self and going out there and and get done what you want to get done. Like you're gonna be missing out on stuff trying to figure out how to be fluent and all that, and just
Right.
yeah,
Trying to
it's
be
good. It's good
perfect.
to
You
have though.
can.
It's good to have,
Yeah.
but I have yet to take some new classes. I'm
Oh
going
yeah.
to
I
one
can't I
day.
can't commit. I'm like you. I
Yes.
cannot get I don't want to get up every day. I don't want to get put clothes on. I want to just lay around, do whatever I want to do. I'll look at some YouTube videos. I'll study a little bit, but if I have to get up and go somewhere,
No.
no. No.
Yeah.
What were you
Yeah.
about to say?
What I was gonna say is like what you were saying about the part of language is culture, and when you go to a foreign country, it doesn't matter where it is. You want to try to be part of the culture as much as possible. So like, I always encourage people not to be bad expats. Um, and it doesn't matter if they're single or as a couple. You see it. You see it on both ends, where people expect the culture to change for them, as opposed to just trying to adapt themselves to the culture. And they, they get frustrated or upset because they feel like people aren't communicating with them the way that they expect, or they aren't getting the services that they expect. They aren't getting it the way that they expect. And instead of understanding that it's actually not their problem, it's your problem. You'll see they blame the people for something that, you put yourself in a situation. They didn't ask you to come here.
Mhm.
Um, so any kind of frustration will, hold on.
You're doing a lot of
let
talking,
me
so
let me scoot over a little bit. Yeah, any kind of frustration, that's a you issue, not a culture issue. Um,
Yeah.
like I said, it doesn't matter if it's a couple or a single person. If you come to a foreign country, you need to be prepared for what that culture is going to have for you, and be ready to deal with it, and not just think that I'm American, you should adapt to me. And like you do see that, you see that around in so many different ways. So just don't be an ugly expat. Basically, is my point.
American superiority is real. It really is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, you had a question. There's a question. I heard that countries aren't fond of sickly people coming to their countries.
I
Um,
haven't noticed that. We have lots of hospitals here. This is like the hub
yeah.
of healthcare. Um, I think you need to count the cost. If you've got health issues, what do you need in support? Do you need a caregiver? You know, those are things that I think are part of that honest conversation with yourself. Do you have insurance? Do you have access to the healthcare, or are you coming expecting the country to provide that? That could give you some challenges. But this is a
Yeah.
community, healthcare is affordable on lots of
Mm-hmm.
different levels, both with and without insurance. I've been on both sides of that. Um, and I have not experienced any specific like prejudice against people with health needs, partly because we got a
Yeah.
retiree population of expats here and seemingly maneuver through the healthcare systems. Some of my friends pay cash. Some of them have insurance and maneuver those systems, but I haven't sensed any prejudice. And perhaps because Cuenca is that hub for healthcare for the country, that a lot of people come here because of the cardiac centers and the cancer centers and the like a dozen hospitals here and the medical school and the clinics tied to that. So I found it to be quite comfortable when dealing with my healthcare needs. Um,
Yeah, and I
Not
think
that
a
it
lot
can't
of
happen.
countries, I'm sorry, I think a lot of countries welcome kind of the medical tourism. There are a lot of countries that take advantage of that. Like they realize that people are coming from other countries who can afford the care, and then if the professionals are already here, like that, it only boosts the economy. If I think that maybe if there are people like leeching off the system, then that looks different. But for the most part, if you're coming from North America, like you're not leeching off the system. You're really just adding to it.
Yeah. I haven't had any bad experience with my medical care that I have had in Salinas and in Cuenca. Um, I've had, I can't even say American, what, Ecuadorian doctors and
The Cuban doctors.
Cuban doctors, doctors from other countries. And they all been very professional, have great bedside manner. Um, Even when I had Dr. Carlos that came to the house, very professional. I have no complaints. The care here is very, to me, it's superb. Like, I mean, to go get your blood drawn and get your results by before the end of the day.
Or
Um,
have them come draw your blood at your house, and you don't even have an order to say, "Hey, look, I need a blood draw. This is what I need." They come and do it and send you the results the same day.
right. I have um, no complaints. It's very efficient, I have to say. Um,
And I will say
It's been
this to
similar for
answer.
me.
Go ahead, Roland. I'm
That,
sorry.
that's been similar for me, and I've involved myself in several of the systems here. I had insurance, but like didn't want to learn how to use it, and started some healthcare, just like get some baseline at the clinic, the CEM clinic that's tied to our medical school. And on one of my visits, my daughter was here visiting. My daughter's a doctor, and she was here and accompanied me, and she was really impressed with the level of
mm,
care. I had a doctor who was a specialist that my primary had referred me to. There were two med school students that were shadowing her that particular day. So I've got a doctor, two, students, and I paid $10 for the specialist and had like 30 minutes of this doctor talking to me. And my daughter got a little more Spanish than I do with medical stuff and could communicate. And she was really impressed. I had an emergency injury where I thought I had torn my Achilles tendon down in Manta. So I was away from home, and not only the responsiveness of my insurance agent, because I couldn't remember which insurance I was trying to use. I got two policies. I'm over insured because I want to make sure there's no reason that I got to go back to the United States for real. And my representative who called to coordinate that care coordination for me, and then the doctors, she knew which one spoke English, she knew what time her office hours were, and I was able to maneuver that and then transfer my records and information back to Cuenca to do follow-up care. I've used several of the different hospitals. I've used my insurance and gone through that pre-certification process, and then I need physical therapy and what are my co-pays and things like that. And I'm going to do it at this hospital, which is different than the hospital where my ortho doctor is. I need to go do x-rays, both for medical and for things like dental. And you go and they hand, well, what you want me to do these x-rays? They're yours. You paid for them. They're yours. Do what you want to.
exactly.
You already sent them by digital
Exactly.
to the doctor. So all of those kind of concerns, insurance is not a pleasant thing for me to have to deal with because I feel like I'm always being taken advantage of sometimes. But being able to maneuver those systems really helped to alleviate some of the anxiety, the ease of it, the care level that I got, like a doctor sitting and talking with you and reviewing the
Mhm.
information. So it has been a really good experience, and it's affordable. That I have the small policy and I have the major policy. So that if anything, I said, I was like, with the way stuff costs, like would I ever, like what would, how sick would I have to be to use the, I don't care, I'm getting it anyway. So that anything that goes down,
Right.
that my pre-condition time has lapsed and I'm at full coverage levels. So the healthcare has been really amazingly easy and affordable.
Affordable.
Medical
Yeah.
and dental, I'm coming out of some major dental stuff. And so even that, I've had visitors come and do dental tourism several times, about maybe 5 or 6 people have done that, where it's anywhere from 10 to 25% of the cost it would be in the United States, for really good care, good level care. It's modern. It's like, yeah, we have modern, like these are state of the art kinds of services that we have here.
Hmm.
We're not in the jungle.
Yeah, it's real. I have a friend that just was getting ready to go back to the States, found out she had cancer, and was able to get in. There was not like a major wait time and all of that and
Mm.
pre-certification. No, she just, okay, what do we need to do? Let's develop a plan of action. And she was able to go in and do that. So that has not been, the severity has not been my experience, but definitely some emergency kinds of things, and getting level of care and testing on whether you can communicate, and finding, man, it's a lot easier than I thought it was, and the fears may have let me. So yeah, it's been really, again, that wraparound care for life where it's just affordable and easy accessible.
I
And
want
I
to
would
answer a
say,
question real quick. Oh, go ahead.
um, I was when I first got here, we used the public system, medical care, and it is different from private, but it was still efficient. And
It
you,
served our purpose at the time.
yeah, you got medical care. You may not had everything you would find in a private hospital. You know, I had to bring sheets and stuff, towels and whatnot, because it is a public health system. So you have to bring those things, or you can purchase them from the hospital. You can go to the pharmacy, and it's not outrageous. I think it
It
was
was a
like
few
six
dollars. It was,
dollars.
yeah.
You know, to give you what you need. However, if you do have insurance, like Lorana was saying, um, I've never experienced where you were saying the medical health insurance contact the doctor to set up your appointments for you. Amazing. Um, and when you go see the doctor, you're not sitting in a waiting room. You're sitting outside the office, and then the doctors come and get you, and y'all discuss whatever it is. Like she said, you get your X-rays, ultrasound, whatever. All your results, you get them before you leave. You don't have to wait months or weeks or whatever before you get your results. You always get them the same day, and you keep them. They're yours. You paid for it. So I have all my records, and I've saved them. Like she said, you can get them digitally. Oh, I can't even say
Digitally.
digitally, and save them in a file. But the healthcare is a plus. I know people are concerned about when they do travel to other countries, how is the healthcare? Ecuador's healthcare is very efficient. Um,
And
I would
affordable.
say, and affordable. Is to me is superior to me. What were you said?
Let me hop in real quick.
Okay.
Affordable,
Pardon us.
like those
Pardon us.
uninsured visitors, a house call would be $30 or $40 for a house call.
Yeah.
Uninsured. Like it's
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
cheap. The clinic is $7 for a generalist, $10 for a specialist. That's cash pay, no insurance.
Yeah.
So it really is a very different scenario than what I was accustomed to with healthcare.
Yeah. To answer Kai's comment from a little while ago, she was saying that she heard a lot of negative talk on Reddit. That goes back to what I was saying about being the I don't know, bitter type of expat, where if you have a bad experience, you want to go tell everybody that you had a bad experience, but then you leave out all the good experiences. So you never know why, if someone's on Reddit or like Twitter or Facebook, whatever, take everything they say with a grain of salt, because they could be the person that thinks that everything is supposed to cater to them the way that they want it. And you don't know what that person actually did when they went to that office, that doctor's office, or that interaction they had with insurance, whatever. Because sometimes it's the way that we approach the situation, and it isn't them. It could be just the way that we came at it. And that person's not going to say that in like a Reddit post or Twitter or Facebook. They're just going to say how bad their experience was. So we always suggest, like, if you can get into a community and talk to people and see what their actual experiences are, um, then so be it. It's not like every experience we've had has been perfect, but for the most part, it's been pretty good. And yeah, don't always people will always put the most negative thing online. Like they're quick to do that, but the good stuff they just leave it. They don't say anything. So I just wanted to make sure that yeah, we actually did address that, because yeah, what you hear online isn't always true, and sometimes it's from the bitter people that everything is always wrong to them. Um, and not to say you got to listen to people who are always positive, but yeah, just think about what people are saying and try
And
to try to look a little deeper than the surface.
exactly. So if someone posts something, because I've seen posts and people will say some negative things about an experience or tell you part of the story. I'm one of those investigative people. I'm like, okay, so why haven't you said you haven't given all the story, because there's more to that story. And then I find out the other parts of the story. I'm like, oh, so you left this part out about you was out at 3 o'clock in the morning and you was with someone, and you this person wasn't a spouse or a girlfriend. You was out here doing some other things and you got in a situation. So now you try to tell people you got robbed. You got robbed because you was in the
Yeah,
wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person.
he was in a situation to get robbed.
So
Right.
yeah, you just have to look deeper. All right, I think I want to make sure I cover everything. Climate. Okay. So, Lorana, we're both in Cuenca. I mean, I started off in Salinas. The climate was definitely a choice, a top priority for us when we decided to move abroad. Um, I visit Panama. We had thought about going to Panama. Panama is very humid and hot. I don't have time for that. There are different areas in Ecuador that can be more hot, humid, colder. I feel like Cuenca is the sweet spot for me, for us. I like the coolness. It doesn't really get cold because I'm always wearing either a t-shirt or a tank top. Is perfect for me. So why was Ecuador your was it your first choice or it was among other countries?
It was the first one that really answered that question. Would you like to live here? And it was like, yeah, I would. Um, I retired out of South Carolina. Heat and humidity are not my friends. I grew up in Northern California where we didn't have humidity and it never got out of mid 80s, maybe. It never, rarely got down to freezing. At night, cold would be 40s. As a kid, I remember wearing flip flops and tank tops all year. You'd know you'd need a sweater or a windbreaker at
Hmm.
night, but like that's humidity. I don't want to do that. So, and mosquitoes, I don't want to do that either. So,
No, no.
like in deciding what I wanted life to be, I want it to be comfortable. And that was part of my decision for choosing Cuenca, that Cuenca feels very much like Northern California. 70 to 75 degrees is about average. If it gets more than about, start getting to the upper 70s, we start talking heat wave. If it hits 80, we're at heat wave status. And like, I mean that literally. And it doesn't get that cold. So it's very comfortable. To always bring an umbrella. Sometimes it's for the sun, sometimes it's for the rain.
Hmm.
To always bring sleeves because what it feels like right now, you may need another layer on. But that was definitely one of the considerations for me. The other part was because we're located near the equator, there's the balance. You got 12 hours of sunlight every day. So
Mhm.
having that kind of consistency too was kind of an extra perk. But yeah, definitely the weather. Some of the places I looked, coastal areas, like you get overcast, in Puerto Lopez for 8 months, and then it's hot and humid. I thought
Mhm.
that doesn't feel comfortable. So that's a personal decision. I know that my personal temperature ideal is 74 degrees, slight
Mhm.
breeze, partly cloudy skies is what I like most in Cuenca. I don't need full
Right.
sun every single day unless I'm in my house, and then do what you want to
Yeah.
do. So, like, that's part of what I want my life to be. I want it to be comfortable, and 74 degrees is comfortable for me. Wintertime, that's 68 as a high. Summertime, that's 75, maybe pushing 76 as a high. So, yeah,
Mhm.
that was a big part of just being honest with what I want my life to be like. And I think that's real subjective, but like deciding those kind of things is important.
Yeah, I agree. I do not want to be hot. I do not want to be cold. I want to, I want spring weather, fall weather. Like
All
you
year.
said, a light jacket, that's it.
That's
And
it.
it's perfect.
And flowers
Any
in bloom.
question?
Did we say about that? Perpetual
Oh,
spring is what they
yes.
call the weather. So, like flowers being in bloom is the yapas. That's been like the extra joy of having hummingbirds outside my window because there's always flowers
Oh,
in
yeah.
bloom. So, like that's a
Yeah.
part of the quality of life part, that
The small things that we
know
don't,
what you need,
when
know how you
you're
want to
so
spend your life.
busy.
So, even that was some of the things of like, what am I going to do if I'm on the coast? Beach and eat? What you gonna do? And so even picking a place that had like lots of things that are things I'm interested. I've taken ceramics classes. I've gone on art walks. I eat. I go lots of
Mhm.
play. I know where every mercado in town is. I think um, museums, music, food.
Yeah. Hmm.
Entertainment.
Yeah. All
Um,
of it. All of it. Cuenca has it all. Um, Tien Cummins, she said, we considered Monta, but think Cuenca would be a softer and safer landing coming from the US.
it's a
Um,
big enough city, yes, because it's a big enough city. This is like almost 700,000 people. So if you need any kind of specialty medical care, it's here. If you like the malls, I don't, but we got them. If you like anything you really need, you're going to find in some of those smaller towns in Ecuador. I'm just speaking about Ecuador, but this is Central America, South America, some of those places too, where like, what are you going to spend your time in life doing? What do you normally spend? Like furniture. If you're in Puerto Lopez, where are you going to get furniture? You're going to go to Manta, you're going to go to Guayaquil to get furniture, and then how you going to get it home on a tuk-tuk? Like,
yeah.
so
And
having a
then when
place
you,
that gives you those conveniences as you transition out of the United States, that was a factor that I consciously thought about that of how do you establish life in a new place if your closest grocery store, like a real grocery store, is hours away from you. So that was a consideration that this is a big enough town that it has those
mhm.
common conveniences as I transitioned out. And it provides that because it's got enough size to have those resources within the
Mhm.
community.
You want to talk about versus the beach?
Well, first, I was going to say if she's coming from the U.S., understand that Cuenca's in the mountains, so you have to make sure you're not altitude doesn't bother you. Monte is on the coast at sea level, so when we made our transition, we came to Cuenca the first time, and the altitude bothered me because Cuenca was going to be the destination when we moved, but because it bothered me, we winded up in Salinas. Now we were in Salinas for 2.5 years. I am not a beach person. I'm not someone just can look at the water all the time. They're just not, and I'm not on the beach. We walk up and down the Malecon. That was about it. However, in Cuenca, when I was able to deal with the altitude, we decided to move to Cuenca. Cuenca has a lot more things for you to do if you like doing things. There's a lot of restaurants, malls, grocery stores. Um, we like different,
I said museums.
yeah, museums. They have breweries here. If you like drinking different type of craft beers, there's always something going on, festivals, like Lorana was saying, the art museum, theaters, there's something always going on in Cuenca. If you like to be busy, you can be busy. If you like to just sit and be still, you can sit and be still. So, but I will say, if you've never been to Ecuador, do an exploratory trip and see which one works best for you. Because we don't want to just say you come here and then your blood pressure high and you don't know what's going on because the altitude is bothering you, and you go to Manta, and then if you don't like to be hot, then you may need to find a middle ground. Um, Vilcabamba.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's
slightly higher altitude where you don't have the mosquitoes and the heat, but low enough to where you can better acclimate to it. And to answer that question, yeah, you can acclimate to the altitude. Some people some people it doesn't bother at all. Some people it takes a few weeks. Some people may take a few months. But being hydrated is the best thing you can do.
the best thing to do. You definitely need to stay hydrated. You can buy coconut water from different little stands on the streets, usually $1, sometimes 50 cents. But you definitely need to be hydrated. Even though you're in the mountains, you may not think you're dehydrated. You can be dehydrated.
Because it's kind of dry. Even though it rains quite a bit, the air is dry. So you may sweat and perspire, and you don't realize it's evaporating away from you. And when you breathe, you evaporate more moisture while you're breathing. So you just dry out faster. You'll realize it like once you stop moving and you get home, you're like, why am I so thirsty? It's because the air just sucks moisture out of you.
So even on the coast, when I was in Salinas, I was dehydrated. So look at what the Ecuadorians do. They are always either carrying a bottle of water, Gatorade, or drinking coconut water.
You got an umbrella.
You definitely need an umbrella. Because that sun, the UV is very high. I heard the museums are free to attend. The ones we've been to, I'm not gonna say all of them, but there are some.
Yeah, and the bigger ones they're absolutely free. If I like Puma Pungo, you can just walk right in, you sign in, and visit the museum.
And if you like seeing flowers, the botanical garden is free. It's beautiful.
The symphony is free sometimes. There's a lot of museums that are free, but there's also lots of cultural. There's a calendar every month that comes out. There's lots of cultural activities that are oftentimes free. Or like yesterday, they giving out soup. There's goodies. There's something that's.
Yeah, we missed that one. I saw you and Stacy out there doing carnival, and look,
Guinness World Record pots of soup.
Yeah, brave with all the foam and the water. Y'all look like y'all were having much fun with the kids.
We were, and the adults. Yeah, we had good fun. Those are the kind of free activities that happen here so often. So yeah. It's preference. It's all preference. This has been my preference, and it's been extra benefits, extra. The economic difference of living here versus like a Manta. Housing costs are much less if you shop local. If you do your housing like the local way. I think it's got a really comfortable cost of living.
You might pay, and that's the thing you got to learn is like, what's the difference in shopping as an expat or shopping like a local? Because they absolutely get better deals than we do if you don't know what to look for. And especially like on the coast, because most expats want to live close to the water, and anywhere within 3 blocks of the water, like where we were, if you're on the Malecon or like 3 blocks, like you're gonna pay a lot more than you would just maybe a few blocks further back.
Yeah, so like hamburger and hot dogs, if you're on the Malecon, it's gonna cost you $8 or $9. You go 2 streets back, that hamburger and hot dog cost you $2, and it's just as good. Now I know some people don't like eating off the little carts and stand. You got to be, you got to know your limit, and you have to know Certain things you don't need to eat because it's been out for a while. So use common sense.
Ceviche at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it's 85 degrees outside on the coast. Yeah, you may want to stay away from that. Catch that guy at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Now, I didn't have a problem if somebody was cooking fries, sausages on a grill, in a skillet. I'm more open to eating that type of thing versus something that's been sitting in a pot all day. Because usually if you're ordering a hamburger or a sausage, they're cooking it on the spot. So it's fresh. But, I would just say use good judgment when you're choosing to eat from a cart. There's just some things I cannot eat. I don't think there's anything Steve can't eat. He has a stomach of steel. I can't say the same for me.
Yeah. And Liz,
I ran a restaurant. I know DHEC rules. I buy fresh fish off the street corner and chicken on them grill carts. You got to use some discretion, but like there's a whole difference in the meat quality and just food in general here that for me feels a whole lot safer. So I do those things regularly, often.
Liz mentioned the sun too. I forgot to mention that about the coast.
What about it?
Depending on where you are, there may be like 5 months of cloudy weather.
So in Salinas from, I think it was June. No, the end of May, of May into November, middle of November, it was an overcast for how many months it is?
Almost every day.
You may saw the sun for like maybe 20, 30 minutes and then it came out. It goes back in. But after, I think end of November into end of April, it was sunny. It was very sunny. You still, and like we saying, the sun can be very extreme or hot if you're in it. But if you're in the shade, it's a nice breeze. It's beautiful. And even in Cuenca, you will see people walking around with umbrellas because the sun can be very
treacherous. Yeah, like we keep an umbrella with us everywhere we go. Not for the rain, not just for the rain.
Right. And take a jacket. It's best to have a rain jacket with you or umbrella because you never know. It could be sunny at 8 o'clock in the morning up until 12, and then it'll be overcast. And by 2 o'clock, you may have a downpour. And then the sun comes back out.
Or it may just go straight from sun to all of a sudden there's storm clouds surrounding us. And it doesn't matter which way you go, you're going to run into it.
But just know I don't have any complaints. I don't feel like I did when I was in Salinas. It started to feel depressing, lonely. Like, I don't know. I've never been to Seattle, but I've heard people talk about how much it rains in Seattle. But being in Salinas with the overcast and someone who has, anxiety, and deal with depression every now and then, that can be a lot. And so being in Cuenca, I just seeing, I guess, greenery and just having things to do, it makes me feel like I can do this.
It brightens you up a little bit.
Yeah.
And no, to Kai, I don't think gentrification is a thing just yet. Who knows how it'll be in like 10 years, but there's definitely a market for gringos, if that makes sense.
There's an area that's called Gringolandia. There's a lot of gringos that live in that area. That's not an area we chose to want to live in. We live in a more predominantly Ecuadorian neighborhood. And I know, for us, well, if I was by myself, I probably would blend in more. They probably would think I'm either from Brazil, Colombia, who knows, because I'm short. So I blend in real well. With Steve, they know he's from somewhere else, but we don't do anything to bring attention to us. We just try to be cordial and do what they do.
Yeah, the gentrification thing, I don't think it's necessarily like North Americans coming here and trying to turn it into North America. I think that the locals understand that we do bring some money here. Hold on. And you can probably hear me better now. The locals understand that we come here with money, and they're just being smart to cater to us in certain aspects. Now that also means that you're going to be overpriced for certain things. Um, but yeah, I don't think it's not really gentrified yet. That I don't think it's gotten to that level yet.
But I do think it does affect us, affect Ecuadorians when it comes to if they're trying to rent property.
Yeah.
And some realtors don't want to rent to Ecuadorians. They want to rent to expats because they know they can get more money, and they want to cater to expats. So that does help. I mean, hurt.
Yeah.
Ecuadorians when they're trying to find somewhere to stay and they can't because it costs more.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe 5 or 10 years, we'll see.
What was
Yeah, I think
that? What was
part of that
that?
is just that conversation of what responsibility do you have for what happens, and some of that is resisting that prejudice in pricing. But it's also just taking into consideration that we have an impact when we go into communities, and choosing to be responsible for that impact and trying to minimize that, I think, is an important piece, so that places don't end up becoming gentrified, because that's happening in some of the places that expats go, where it's too expensive for locals to live, and it's becoming very expensive for immigrants to live there. So some of the places, like maybe in Central America and even Mexico, where we're seeing some of that
Yeah.
resistance, but in other places
Mhm.
of the world too. So it's one of those things to consider for sure, of how we impact when we go. And if we go with our American mindfulness into other places where we're kind of dictating through that filter of what it should be, how it should work. Yeah, I think this
Yeah,
just,
because
yeah.
when we're bringing, if I was in Virginia or if I was in California, I would be paying this. This is less than that, but you have to think about the country. You got to think about what Ecuadorians are paying. So you got to bring that mindset, change your mindset and think about, okay, that's too much because I'm not trying to affect the economy in a negative way. So, but when we come in and we want to be like, oh, they have nice, I mean, like they have granite countertops and marble floors or tile floors. Like it's very modern, but you also need to understand you're in Ecuador and what should that cost? Not,
What would it cost
oh,
a
if I was
local?
in,
What
right.
would it cost a local to
Because
pay for this property? What would you charge a
yeah,
local? Yeah,
yeah. So, I mean, we're not going to get it 100% at what an Ecuadorian will pay, but you should try to get it as close to what an Ecuadorian would pay.
I agree. And
Yeah,
part
I'm
of it is
not
I don't
sure if
want to be
there's a
taken
difference.
advantage of. And if you're taking advantage of
Right.
me because I'm American, like I just don't want to participate in that. Prejudice, it's prejudice for me. And so I try to really work within local price points. Um,
Hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know if the realtors or property owners who rent or sell to expats, if they look at us as a couple, if they look at us like we have more money, or if they're more willing to negotiate versus a single person. Like, would they, if it was just you, like, do they try to get over more on a single person or on a couple? Because I've never really thought about that.
I don't know if I have an accurate answer. I am real firm on like that communicating clearly and doing my homework. So like in all the rentals that I've negotiated, I have kind of come to the table with what feels fair from some research. Even when I was new, I had done lots of research on the housing costs and things like that. And so I tend to be like, LaShawn, like I'm gonna go research, I'm gonna find out these things before I get into the negotiation. um the most recent lease that I negotiated, like I had real firm ideas about what the price should be from a local pricing perspective. And when the prices weren't that, I was just real clear, like here's what I think would be a fair price for this property. And what I found was even some places that I didn't rent, like it was way like $200-300 elevated over what the real fair price. Like
Mhm.
one was 700 some dollars, and by the end of it, it was like 460. I was like, that's a reasonable price, 460 would
Mhm.
be reasonable. 750 is not. And so
Right.
negotiating, being comfortable enough with that without it like, distorting your personality or whatever. Like to say, I think you're charging me too much for that. You can charge whatever you want, but I think you are. So I think people the people I've dealt with, like I've come in with that. So there may be not that extra look of I'm trying to get in her pockets and it's an opportunity for me to charge more. Um, but I've had some situations in some of the smaller areas of life where if the assumption is that I'm American, that I see some prejudice. Taxis is where I've seen that. Some stores, a couple of times I've
Yeah.
seen that, but in general, the relationship piece is working where I feel like I'm really paying at a rate for various things like a local person would. Definitely my rents. I feel like my rents are a lot more in line with what it is, maybe on the high end of local. So I may be paying a
Mhm.
slightly more premium price, but by far not in that expat housing cost range that I see some other
Right.
expats come into.
Yeah, and that's because we don't normally, if we see a price that's a third of what we were paying in the US, you say, "Oh, that sounds great," not realizing that, yeah, it probably is great to you, but it's still like double what the locals are paying.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what happens is they go for that first price that's inflated. So now, like that renter or the owner knows that, oh, I can get this easy. So now everyone else that comes behind is being charged that or more, and it does inflate the prices for other people. And I can understand some Ecuadorians being a little upset about that because like we're artificially inflating the price.
And I think you're marked. You're not negotiating. You're just going to pay that first price that they throw out there. I think that marks you and creates kind of a pattern of how you end up moving through this community. Like I've seen that too.
Yeah. All right. I think we've covered all of the questions. Lorana, is there anything you would like to add?
I think just one thing that oftentimes gets skirted when people start thinking about the logistics of moving as a single person, I think that's dating. That's one of the areas that has not been as favorable as some of the other experiences that married people hopefully are not dealing with out here in these streets because there could be
Right.
some kind of trauma.
Yeah.
Some of them are, but like I think dating was one of the things I had not really planned for. It wasn't a factor that was going to stop me from going. Let me just say that. I'm going with or without anyone going. Like I was prepared to make this life move with or without anyone. But as I've kind of gotten into this and said, like, are you planning to be single for the rest of your life? Oh, didn't think about that. Let me several challenges with that from the single perspective, and one is language. And this is a personal
Mhm.
preference for me. Communication's important for me. The amount of energy it would take in a dating relationship to communicate at the level that I want to has really kept me out of dating Spanish speaking men in this community. Um, I want a relationship that's easy. And the
Yeah.
language piece takes a lot of mental energy to do that. And I don't have the fluency where it would not be something that would be it would be very energetically draining to be in an intimate relationship and not be able to communicate clearly. People say, well, maybe it'll help your Spanish. Well, maybe it will, but more energy than I want to spend. And so looking at things like attraction, what's attractive to you, what are your preferences? Probably my biggest dating pool is immigrant people. Um, and that's been a challenge in Cuenca. Um, from attraction issues of what's attractive to me, if I'm looking to date a Black man that speaks English, from an attraction standpoint, how do you maneuver that? My dating now is really kind of an international thing, which gets into different dynamics of like, hey, I'm in the United States. Hey, I'm not doing any part of my dating in the United States. So if I got to come there, it's a no. It's a hard no. You
Right.
know, like,
Right.
do you have the freedom to move like I move? Do you have the freedom to move and meet up in places around the world? Because I'm not coming back to the United States to do dating. Like, that's my hard no. Others can do what they want to, but I'm not. Um, do you have time freedom? Do you have economic freedom to be able to engage in the ways that would need to be? And that has been really a challenging space to be in. One, because of the age. There's not a lot of late 40s, early 50s, mid 50s like Black men, retired
Yeah.
and living in Cuenca, Ecuador, or like, where can I catch a hop to? You know, are you in Bogota? Are you in, you know, places that I might want to go or connect or able to move through that? And so that's one of the things that I really didn't put a lot of pre-thinking into, because it didn't dictate what I was going to do. But now that I'm really settling into a place and putting those roots down, the dating piece is really different. It's really different. Knowing what your preferences are, knowing how you want to engage, what kind of relationships. I'm not as prone to casual dating relationships because it takes so much energy to connect and meet and you know, that kind of thing. So that has been one of the things that I think like, if I looked at the, you know, whole bunch of positive things, like the downside has been really the dating internationally. At this age, in that early to mid 50s age range, a lot of men are not retired like Steve is retired, where he's got time to be hanging out with his wife and playing, because that's what y'all doing, playing, you know, or nothing like choice. So that is one of the things that I think is really a factor that married people probably aren't seeing, kind of the landscape of that. For those people, regardless of sexual orientation and all that, if you want to be involved, what I see is a lot of times men that are coming into expat spaces, oftentimes I see them moving differently than women who are single and wanting to be in dating relationships. I see men coming of all ethnic backgrounds and very quickly being in relationships, those that choose to be, with locals, with Ecuadorians, even
Call
without
it what it is,
fluency in the
Lorana.
language.
You ain't gotta sugarcoat it. Your passport bros, that's what
Come
they
on
know.
over here.
I ain't gonna
He
say.
he over here
Because, like,
talking.
there's a lot of that, and so some of that economic disparity is a piece that's concerning me if I were to date Ecuadorian, because of the income differences. Like, those are factors that are real for me as a single woman at this age range. It's kind of a weird age range where there's lots of older retirees here, but I'm in a community where there's not a lot of African American single men. And that's one of my attraction preferences, is the Black men. It's not an exclusion of anyone else. It just says I know what I like. I want somebody that has an affinity with cultural things. I want someone that can relate to me culturally. So that is definitely a challenge, that I don't see spaces designed for like immigrants or African American immigrants that are dating or wanting to get to know others who may be living this kind of lifestyle and open to, you know, dating relationships that have to happen very differently because we're spread out in a different kind of way. So that has been one of the things that you know, I'm still trying to maneuver, like, what does that look like? And I was just like, I don't know. It looks like what it looks like, kind of like the rest of my life. It happens as it happens. And I don't have a lot of angst about it, but it is one of those things that really, like, I got the time and opportunity. I could be anywhere in the world with that new passport I got with 50 blank pages on it. But finding ways to connect with people who may be like-minded in the dating space is a little bit challenging. And so if that's something that is really super important to you, I'm kind of one of those people, I'm going with or without you. If you can keep up and come on, let's go, let's do this together. But like, that is one of the things that there is not a good answer for. So am dating a whole lot less in my expat life when I have maximum time and availability, and more adequate disposable resources to be able to maneuver however that has to play out. And I think that's one of the things that maybe married people don't really have to address because you came with your buddy. That
Mhm.
is a challenge in the dating spaces that doesn't have a real good solution, or at least one that I have found that helps people in this space, um, like to deal with that part of life. Like you come with what you come with,
Mhm.
and finding partnerships out here is a little different because I think we're spread out, and the age piece. We're at a weird point where
Mhm.
50s is not where a lot of Americans, especially if they're living in America right now, there's not a lot of Americans that are. And then those that may be out here, maybe really partnered with Ecuadorian women. Part of that
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
I don't have to maneuver that, but some of it's the economic gap, that it's a good thing probably
Mhm.
to have a partner that has a higher socioeconomic status.
Yeah.
That's probably a question for men that are in that space, but I'm looking from the outside. That has not been a comfortable space dating local Ecuadorians for
Mhm.
me, from a variety of reasons. The language, the economic difference, and part of it's just really attraction. That I'm a realist. Like I want to be attracted to the partner that I'm choosing to be with, and I have my preferences. So
Yeah. And there is a
maybe a
huge,
single
like,
issue, single ladies.
there there is like a weird, we're in that weird middle ground where you're at the time of your life where you probably have the most disposable income or the most time, but also like if you're single, it's probably the hardest time to be single. It's a weird thing because now I say as a man, if there's a single guy in the United States, he's my age, 48, whatever. If he's going to another country by himself, like he knows what he's looking for already. His passport, bro, he already knows what he's trying to get. He's going to like Southeast Asia or Colombia or South America, whatever. He knows what he wants. It's different for a woman because as a single woman, like if you go overseas, chances are you're gonna have, depending on where you're going, chances are you're gonna have more income or whatever than any guy you're gonna be dating. But you may not be there to date the guys. And if you are, like you said, you're such a level higher than that person that like they may not feel comfortable dating you unless they're using you at that point. So you're at that
That's
weird
real.
area where like yeah you're too old to enjoy like young dating and too young to like find an old person to settle down with, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Or was that the
it
hospice
that is
wives? That's all.
right. Right.
That's down the road.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that's one of those
This
things
goes
where it's
back
like
though, Steve and LaShawn. This goes back to being okay with you. Because
Yeah.
if that relationship connection is a part of your identity or a part of your ego maintenance, then like coming here and being alone is really something you need to consider, like how that's going to sit with you. I am at a place where, again, I'm the with or without you, and the with you means you got to move at my pace, like of life, and I think all of us
Mhm.
should be making those kind of non-negotiables. So part of this comes down to your self-esteem, your self-worth. If your worthiness is tied to that relationship, this could then cause some problems. The challenge with dating and things like that could really cause some emotional problems for you out here in these international streets. It's not an area that really causes me a lot of like painful distress. But it is an awareness that says like, I'm not single because I necessarily want to just be single, So that doing that internal work to really see where you are emotionally, how good
Yeah.
are you with yourself first?
Right.
But then the other piece is about community. I have a really full life, with or without a partner. I have a really full
Yeah.
life with people that feel good to me. If I ain't got them in my life, I go find them and co-instigate some foolishness with them, some joy. So for me, community really is the solution, for connection and companionship, even done a
Mhm.
little bit differently because I don't have a partner. So that companionship need that I think we all have is still real. And so making sure that my life is full in those areas has been really important for me too. So um yeah, that's a little bit different, I think, for single people.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's understandable.
Yeah, and I think that like for this, like for this kind of conversation, there are a lot of like Black women who are interested in relocating to other countries and traveling. Honestly, more so than men. Men usually do it if they're single. They're doing it for like a particular reason, and we know. All right, but women are looking for like an actual escape and trying to go to another country and trying to enjoy life or whatever. But it's also harder for y'all, as you know, single, than it is for a man. So it's like it's one of those weird things where y'all have more of the desire, more of the research. You do more research, you do more preparation, but it's also more difficult for you, which is like a weird place to be, honestly.
Yeah, because to like she's saying, like if I was single and I was moving and I had the income, or I'm coming to relax. I'm coming to enjoy myself. Um, Not necessarily looking for someone, but like she said, you're in an age bracket. Either the guy is going to be too old. I'm like she said, I'm not looking for to be a hospice sitter or hospice wife, or the guy is too young. Now, to you may see some people or some men your age, but they're not looking for you because they're there for more so a transaction. And I'm looking to enjoy myself, to just, you know, have that companionship with someone and just enjoy life with someone. But they're looking for something different. And it is harder for, as a Black woman, to find someone you're interested. If I'm looking for another Black man, he's not looking for what I'm looking for. He's not in the same mind. He doesn't have the same mindset as I'm having, because I'm looking to just enjoy life and just, travel the world and just do things with someone and not just a transaction.
Yeah, and especially in Latin American countries, Latin American countries that don't have high populations of Afro people.
Mhm.
If you're a woman, the men aren't necessarily looking for an Afro woman unless they have kind of like a fetish for Afro women. So you're also at like a second disadvantage on that end,
Mhm.
where you're looking for someone, they're not looking for you. And
The dating
it's
numbers
just that
are against you in a lot of those,
totally.
in like several different areas. And I think for me, it was like coming to a resolve. If my choice to leave the United States, if it means, and this is, future speaking, if that means that finding a relationship that fits well for me is harder, maybe not possible, or maybe I don't find that person, like my resolve is I'll take that versus going back so I have a better dating pool. Like my resolve is if that becomes a consequence of my choice, I'll eat the cost. I'll eat the cost.
Yeah.
If it means
Yeah.
that your dating may be real limited in what you're looking for, like the benefits for me of retiring early, owning all of my time, being able to spend my life energy on things I'm passionate about, being able to not be homeless while I do that, being able to have rich relationships, like real authentic relationships with people. Like if all of that will outweigh, I think, for me, the consequences um, of this choice, going where dating may be harder. I'm at the grandchildren age of life, so I'm not someone who's looking for a partner to have children. I'm not someone who's in that chapter of life. So again, I'm in the grandmother retired phase of life where some of those biological things are not my reality. Matter of fact, if somebody's got dependents, it's a hard no, because that's again those life alignments. And so I had to really take some time and have that resolve that if that is what this costs me, difficulties in dating, am I going to be okay with that? And my answer right now, subject to change, like I can change my mind at any point down the road, but like right now, like I'm good. I'm okay if that's the consequence. So dating, I would like for it to be different, but not enough that I'm willing to leave Cuenca right now to go to places where there's a
Yeah.
larger, maybe Black population, or Africa, or like I'm not willing to do that. So it's a resolve that I've had to really accept the consequences for. Right now, dating really sucks. That's probably the worst part of my immigrant living experience. Like, how's your day? Let's just let's just keep it moving. Like, like any potentials on the horizon. It's complicated. It's complicated because like if people got jobs trying to, when we gonna meet up? Like, can we meet up when the tickets be $60? Can we do it like in away from where there's hurricanes, like in warm weather and no humidity? Can we do that? So yeah, it's that is probably the downside for me. Like, this is lots of good stuff, lots of stuff better than I expected. Dating has not been one of them. I don't know if I thought about it before, if it would have changed my mind. Probably not, is what I'm saying. But like the reality, if we just want to be honest about it, like, do you want that part of your life to have, to be filled in?
Yeah.
If so, then just understand that there are some real challenges, differences, not challenges. It's just different how that needs to work, and the availability, depending on what your dating pool looks like, is different. I'm coming from a cis het. What are cis heterosexual?
I can't remember all this stuff.
Born women, female, whatever. I'm
cisgender.
that. I'm on that end of the spectrum. So for me, that's one of the challenges. That's the other part of the dating, that there are Black men in this community. There's some single Black men in this community, but having a pool of people that's like greater than like 2. And are they heterosexual? Are they, in their 50s, early 60s-ish? Because there's a growing number of younger Black men, younger men in general, but Black men specifically, 20s and 30s, moving into the international streets. If you could be a peer of my children, I just ain't interested. I just, psychologically, I'm not interested. So there's differences, and part of it has to do with this age space that we're in, late 40s, early 50s, even 50s in general. Get into your 60s, I think there's more opportunities. Some of the same challenges we talked about, though, with preferences of men and what they're looking for. And there's a lot more younger men. I'm seeing a lot of 30-somethings, and I'm just like, I can't. I'm not interested. So it's a weird space, but like, for real, like, if that's an issue for you, you need to really think that through. And maybe that makes a difference in where you choose to be. If that's something that's super important, it's important to me, but it's important, like, it happens if it happens.
Right.
That's kind of my take on it. But that's probably different than the married people have to maneuver.
And I want to say hi to Carol. She's been with us for a while, and she was basically echoing what you were saying. Is that like it's something she's on the cusp of moving here, and that's something that she thought about, but it's not a priority. Less stress without having to think about it. And Kai mentioned, Kai, Lorana does have a YouTube channel. I actually tagged it in the description for this video. So you just click it and subscribe to her channel. She puts out a lot of good information. Because she said that you're basically, speaking directly to her right now. It says she's going to be a cat lady, and that'll be less stressful, I guess.
Consider it. I mean, just things for you to be honest about in figuring out what you want for your life. Like, that's like, be real, be honest with yourself, because you shoot yourself in the foot if you don't. Like, this is not the time to be, if you think about leaving the country, this is not the time to be lying to yourself about what you really want and what you need to have in your life. Like, that's, if I can stress that, this is not what you say to other people, where you code switch and say, no, like, you need to get real honest. If that's something that's important, like your sex life, like, let's just be real. If you want to incorporate that, you need to have a game plan for how you're going to address that as a single person coming out into these international streets. You need to have a plan for the things that's important for you and how you're going to deal with it if you don't have those needs being met in your life. So,
yeah.
And Lorana also does.
I'm sorry.
Just move out.
Get out of the way. Let me get out of the way.
Okay. Lorana also works with people who wants to deal with healing and being real with themselves. Lorana, you want to speak on that?
Sure. Like, I'm that's part of the literal, my work has been in how do we heal community. And one of the passion projects I have is the International Welcome Center for individuals who understand that life is kind of some sort of bondage and they need to have better tools to get free so they really can enjoy life once you get those additional freedom layers added into your real life. And so we have a healing center here. We also have co-living space where individuals can come and start their transition here, come do healing work, do some respite time, and then figure out what you want life to be from a much more healed and honest perspective. So that is something that I'm really passionate about. For those that choose to do healing first, we've got lots of support like housing and affordability, and we show you how you can afford to do that healing and gain the freedom, and then how you craft a life after that that's a little more, that's much more honest and much more tied to values that are sustainable for your life. So yeah, that's one of the areas I'm really passionate about. The economics and the time freedom, the financial freedom give me the opportunity to do some of these passion projects that are really important to my life and make my life seem rich. So people can connect with us. Global Underground Railroad is the work that we do. That's the website. Our collaborative website is nowastedtime.com, but the Global Underground Railroad is the website for the International Welcome Center. And so individuals that are really resonate with, I need some healing, I'm leaving a traumatizing environment and healing just makes sense to me, then we definitely want to help support that in the ways that we can offer. So we have some healing vacation retreats and some residency options. We love you if you're not committed to healing first. You're our neighbor. But we're committed to helping those who are committed to healing first. And so we've got some options, some really affordable ways that we can help people get the time freedom. For individuals that have at least about $750 of income and can qualify for a visa, we can show them and guide them through transitioning out of the rat race into a much more sustainable lifestyle. So I'm really passionate about the healing first part. And about communities that are supportive and life embracing, that help you get to living your life more honestly. So a bunch of stuff on my YouTube, which is the I Am Lorana. The International Welcome Center's website is globalundergroundrailroad.com, and our collaborative page is nowastedtime.com. That's some of the passion work I have the time to do out of goodwill, not obligation now, in retirement. So that's what I'm spending some of my time doing, supporting those who want to heal first and then figure out the life that they really want from that perspective. So yeah, that's some of what I'm
Thank
doing down
you.
here in between playing shenanigans and snacks, which are all
Yeah,
very important. LaShawn and
it
Steve
is
know how
very
important that
important.
is in my life, like for real. Like, is that what's important to you? Absolutely. When I'm not doing really heavy,
Yes,
serious stuff, yeah, I mean that literally. Like I'm trying to be the queen of snacks. All of my parties are going to have food. I'm going to play
yes,
hard
y'all.
with anybody who's interested in playing. I don't care if it's frisbee or water guns. I am prepared to show up. I have my own collection of hula hoops. Like being able to choose what you want to do in life for real every day is part of the freedom that I'm talking about. Like on days that I want to do nothing, I do nothing and I have no guilt. On the days I want to go out, I pick one thing and usually it exhausts me. And I come home at 5 o'clock, take my clothes off, and get up in the bed because I'll be tired. I will have played hard. And like it's just each one of us, if we choose lives we really want to live. And Cuenca's a place that lets you do it with a really
Hmm.
nice quality of living for very little. At 49, as a self-employed person with a history, my professional history of being mostly self-employed, even being able to realize I could afford to retire was mental freedom of like, I ain't got to do this. I ain't got to live this way. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the compassion of the people in this community that lets us expats, us immigrants come into their community that
Yeah.
provides such a rich living experience, like on so many levels. Like we could talk for days on all the positive things that were better than I expected in coming here. So yeah, like but doing it from a healing perspective where I'm like committed to dealing with my stuff opens up the doors because I'm hanging out with people of all kinds, not just my
Hmm.
friends of the lighter
Yeah.
persuasion in the know with all kind of stuff that's going on. That's how I know when the ceramics classes are or the free events at the symphony or the play or the parties and so dealing with my issues from real life, the traumas from real life that put up those walls, like is letting me get a whole lot more out of my experience here. So I'm grateful for healing, but also for like what happens in your life when you let go of some of those things that keep you in bondage. So yeah, people,
Yeah.
if that resonates with people, for sure, reach out, reach out.
Yeah, one question, Lorana. I know we've talked a lot, and you've given us a really good perspective on like a single person's view of living abroad. Did you happen to have any questions for us?
Like I think some of the things that I've heard you guys talk about is like engagement. Like you guys are my married friends. And so maybe like what's that perspective of having single friends? Like in the States, it would almost be dangerous to be friends with a woman who has a husband. I mean, like for real, like inviting your husband over to my house, or if I got a need, being able to reach out, come to me. So maybe you guys maybe share from your perspective how you guys deal with single people in your, social circle, in your community circle here.
I'll let Steve
No, I let
start.
LaShawn deal with that.
Okay.
I submit to whatever her opinion is, and I step back.
I see the
Okay.
wisdom there. I
Yes,
see the wisdom.
it would definitely be different in the US. However, moving abroad, I realized there are more women, single women abroad. I know our relationship. I know where we stand. I trust him. He trusts me. And I can read people pretty well. And I know what I'm not or what we're not going to be involved in. Because I'll be like, no, we're not doing that. You know, I don't feel comfortable. And he usually do not disagree. He was like, that's not what you want to do. That's not what we're going to do. Um, and I can tell if someone is being too friendly with my husband, and he's going to get a look. So I've been pretty good at reading people and uh, knowing people's intention, real intentions. And if we're friends, we're friends. But if you have some like
It only takes one wrong look for LaShawn. One wrong look.
and I'm usually looking. He may not know I'm looking, but I'm looking. If you just being too friendly, yeah, you need to step back. Period.
Well, I just want to share a comment. This is gossip. It's gossip.
Okay.
Recently I had a brunch party because I like doing morning parties because they go long. 10 o'clock brunch party that ends after 6 o'clock at night is kind of how the parties roll at my house sometimes. And one of the comments that was made afterwards that I want to share, um, of the couples that were there, two of the couples were Black married couples. You guys were one of them. And one of the comments that I thought was really meaningful and maybe worth sharing here, just because I got you guys platform and got you guys here, but they said it was so nice. This happened to come from a person who's African American. And this party was not exclusively a Black party. We had gay, straight, married, not married, single parents, not single parents, grandparent age, parenting age. And the comment came and said it was so nice to see two Black married couples that acted like they liked each other and that they seemed to have such a pleasant way that they related to each other. And I think that's a testimony to you guys of just having a relationship that from the outside, we don't know all your business, but from the outside is solid. I've experienced the benefits of that, not knowing you guys really well and saying, I'm turning the corner and coming to Salinas. I need a place to stay. Can you guys, like, come to the house? Like, stay at your house? You guys have come to my place and stayed. And like, that's a piece, I think, of community that's not just me. It's you guys being in a good place and being able to, as a single woman, her to be able to come to your house and stay at your house. You
And
to
I
come
didn't know
spend
you.
time in my home, right? I don't know you like that, but like the strength of your relationship to have space for single people. I'm just grateful. See others seeing you guys in motion, notice there's a difference. There's a difference that I think has to do with the health of your relationship. And so I think that's is another testimony about coming and like being your best self, or at least being on that path to your best self. That was just I think it was just a nice it was just conversation. There's people that still having a conversation, but someone mentioned that and said it was nice to see such positive relationships in the way that you guys were interacting with yourselves. And I think that's part of like you guys doing the work so that I can have community and hang out with you guys and it not be that issue. I'm on my good behavior because I ain't taking nobody's stuff and people and but like even that I think is about what you guys bring to community. I think that's some of the giving in community that like to be safe places and safe people. And it shows. So
Yeah.
thank you guys
Yeah.
for like working on your stuff and having
We
a
definitely
relationship
work on
and
ourselves.
support. The
It
single
comes from
folks.
28 years of practice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he done had
28 years of
28
practice.
years of
No,
practice.
Okay,
because some folk got a whole lot more practice and it still ain't working for them. So, like, no, there has been some intentionality. Y'all have been doing some stuff to make it work. And
think
sometimes it's
ahead,
just
like, how can
desire,
I How can I not piss LaShawn off?
Right.
What can I not do? What can I not do? And it's like we
You
were
have
watching that
learned
stand up the
does
other day
not
with
end well for you. So
Right.
yeah, that was just a tidbit of gossip that I heard on the grapevine. But like,
Well,
I think to be
I
able,
appreciate it.
there is that diversity and being able to have space for that. We've hung out sometimes without Steve. Steve has not gone with us to the spa or the whatever we gotten into. So no, I think
But
that's
I think it goes back to, like I said, you have to like the person. I actually like being around him.
yeah.
And I will hope you feel the same.
Yeah.
I would say when he has taken me places, I'll say this: trust, because I ride on the back of this scooter with this man that has never ridden on a motorcycle or anything like that. Neither one of us. And I'm sitting on the back of this scooter, hands free, like, yeah, he's gonna get me there. He's gonna make sure I'm safe. So I think that is the connection we have. I trust him to make sure I'm safe, we're safe, and he knows the same. I'm going to make sure he's safe. And I'm not saying I'm gonna fight a bear for him, but
We watch each other's back in a way that it may not sound, I don't know, it may not sound right at first, but basically I'm the very like thoughtful, and because of my job for so many years, I basically had to just interact and fight people literally on a daily basis. I'm very good at de-escalating situations or not getting overhyped about situations. I can be very calm in the weirdest situations, right?
yes.
So that's where we balance each other, because like she's the opposite, and I have to. One of the ways that I keep her safe is by not letting her be herself sometimes, and that because that also keeps me safe. And I've told her this,
And I don't do it. I
No,
don't
she
do
doesn't.
it.
And I've told her this over the years that like,
But
look,
when
don't,
he first
don't put us in a situation
he first
where I'm
met
going to
me-
get killed or have to hurt somebody.
I was
Right.
popping off at whoever, and he was like, "Look,
You
Maybe
cannot
there are
do that.
consequences for this. That's going to affect us. Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are the same things that make for sustainable community. You just expand it to the other layers, trusting relationships, place relationships with people who are safe, that share your
Yeah.
values, that share the commitments to safety. I think those
Mhm.
really are. And like they don't happen just because you show up in these international streets. That's work that you have to commit to doing in your own life. And
Yeah.
that's what makes community, us each doing that in our own lives. And then finding the ways that we can come together. Yeah.
Yeah." And it's we have definitely more of a community here amongst people that are not family, but feels like family, because you know we that's all we have. We try to, at least we do. We try to build rapport with people and be our authentic self, because we're not trying to be, I don't know. I'm not trying to be anything other than who I am. And if you can't accept me for who I am, then I don't need you to be around me, because I don't need drama, and I don't need stress. I definitely don't want any stress. And I'm going to be drama free, because I will remove myself before I allow someone else to disturb my peace. Period.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So, but Lorana, we have took a lot of your time, and we appreciate your time and your responses to the questions and how you move about in these international streets. We thank you for um, being a resource. We thank you for being a friend. Um, and we appreciate you if we haven't already shared that with you.
Yeah.
We
And,
do appreciate that.
and everyone who's still here watching, be sure click the link. It's in the description and in the title for Lorana's YouTube channel. Click it. It'll open another tab. Hit subscribe, uh, and check out her content. She does a lot of good work. Talk a lot about healing. A lot of people need that. Make sure you check her out, because we definitely appreciate her help uh, with any issues that we come with. And we thought we knew a lot. We thought we knew a lot coming from Salinas. Now, we may know a lot about Salinas, but coming here, we needed help. And you can't just think that you can just do everything without asking someone.
Yeah.
Sometimes you actually just gotta suck it up, suck your pride up, and
Ask for
and
help.
ask for help.
And you'll be surprised at the response you receive by asking for help. And there are people who are willing to help. So don't let your pride get in the way.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for the opportunity to share and for being part of my community here in Cuenca, Ecuador.
All right. So we want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for joining us in this live. I hope it was a some helpful information for you. And if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments field. If you have questions for Lorana, go to her channel and ask questions in her comment field. Again, thank you all.
Ciao.
Thanks
Hasta
again.
luego.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.